Hello, 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 and welcome to this edition of A Quick Pint. Now, today I would like to talk about something which a number of you have asked me about because of the way in which it crosses over with autism, and that is schizoid or schizotypal personality. Now, myself, Guy Madison, and Dimitri van der Linden did a paper on this in the Journal of Creative Behaviour, and we found that to a certain extent, schizoid personality is kind of the opposite of autism, but it also has points of commonality with autism. So sometimes people with some kinds of autism can be can actually have schizoid personality instead. Now, and its most extreme manifestation, what you have is schizophrenia. Now, I'm quite interested in this in so much as I live in Finland, and the rate of schizophrenia in Finland is double among the Finns, is double what it is among the Finland Swedes, and it is in turn double among the Finland Swedes what it is among the Swedes, and it is in turn considerably higher among the Swedes than it is among the British. So the level of schizophrenia is definitely higher here, and I've met at least 3 people who have said to me that they are paranoid schizophrenics. They're on medication, but they're paranoid schizophrenics. One of those walks around talking to himself, walks into local churches and starts playing music, just at random. They're often quite religious. Another one got talking to us in a bar in Oulu called the Wood Bar, and she had this incredible vocabulary, amazing English, and she wrote poetry and things, and so I just asked her, and very kind of artistic, and so I just asked her straight out, "Are you schizophrenic?" "Yes," she said, "I'm paranoid schizophrenic." And I think there was another case as well. So that's the extreme manifestation, but schizophrenia sits on a scale, and the weakest manifestation of it is schizoid. And then there's schizotypal, and that there was a person when I was at university who I'm fairly sure was schizotypal. And then there's schizoid. So what is schizoid? You get this a lot in Finland. You'll get a lot of Finnish men who are very like this. You'll meet them maybe in bars sometimes, although often they won't go to bars. But you'll meet people like this around in Finland. They come across as extremely detached from. They're not really interested in social relationships. They have very shallow emotions. They seem aloof and distant. They are loners. They have no close relationships at all outside of their families. They really don't have any friends. They have basically no sexual desire. They are rather humorless, no real sense of humor. They don't really react to or care about criticism, and they don't really have much in the way of clear goals. And I've definitely met Finns like this. For example, near where I live, there is a railway, and they will hang around there looking at trains and things like that, and taking photographs of them. And these people are, of course, relatively harmless, and they will choose to do jobs which don't involve really having to interact with people very much, like being night security guards or whatever. They don't like interacting with people. It makes them anxious. It makes them stressed and whatever. But that's the most harmless type of it. That's schizoid personality. Those people are socially harmless. They'll be seen as weirdos. They'll be seen as eccentrics. They'll be seen as unusual, and they'll just be seen harmless, really, and rather sad. Now, the next level up is what's called schizotypal personality. Now, here it gets a bit more dangerous. So you have all of those traits, plus you have the over-detection of agency. So remember, autism often involves that you see the world in a highly mechanical and systematic way, and therefore you are low in empathy. Now, an element of empathy, and the reason why empathy is associated with believing in God, is over-detecting, is that you're very, very interested in external expressions of internal states, and you over-detect external expressions of internal states, such that you pass them over into the world itself, and therefore you see evidence of an internal state in the externality of the world, and therefore you're inclined to believe in God. Now, if you take this to a more extreme degree, then you have hyper agency over detection, and this is that you very, very strongly over detect evidence of internal states via external traits, even in people. And so the result of that is that if a person is angry with you, you will see them as absolutely furious with you. If a person quite likes you, then you will think that they are in love with you. If a person is being friendly to you, you will think they are trying to seduce you. If a person is being unfriendly to you, then you will read highly malevolent intent. So people like that will over-detect agency, and in that sense, in that very narrow sense, it's the opposite of autism. And they will misinterpret what people do, they will misunderstand what people do, and consequently they will become paranoid, and they will become extremely distrustful of people because they are paranoid, and they will become extremely stressed about people because they are paranoid. But on the other side of the paranoia, they will make terrible mistakes where they will assume that a person really likes them or whatever, when of course they don't. Now, they also suffer from highly disordered thinking, which crosses over with the paranoia. So they will develop very, very peculiar beliefs, very, very unusual beliefs about the world in order to make sense of a world which doesn't make sense to them. And these will often be quite paranoid beliefs that they will see, as far as they will be concerned, a lot of people will be out to get them. They will perhaps see themselves as having some sort of special gnosis, some sort of profound, true understanding of the world, which nobody else has because they don't understand them, and those people are just out to get them and out to destroy them. And because they're out to get them and out to destroy them, they themselves must be destroyed and must be dispatched. So you have this paranoid thinking that develops in order to make sense of what they do, of this weird paranoid world that they live in. They will often convince themselves of the veracity of delusion, of just delusions. They will have delusional thinking. They will think somebody thinks something of them which they do not, and they will really believe it. So then it goes into the world of being a fantasist, and that they will start making up things about people, which on some level I guess they know is not true, but on some level they persuade themselves it's worth doing in order to bring down that person, because that person's evil and that person's trying to destroy them. So they'll make up rumors. They'll make up rumors about somebody. They'll say that they'll spread a rumor that somebody is gay, or that somebody is a paedophile, or that somebody is a murderer, or whatever, or that whatever, in order to destroy this person about whom they are utterly paranoid. They will have odd mannerisms. They will have very flat, or they'll either be emotionally flat, which is the case with the schizoid, or they'll be emotionally inappropriate, because remember that they're paranoid, or they over-detect positive feelings, so they behave in a very, very peculiar way. They will often believe that they have some sort of special powers. They will be strongly that allow them to understand the world in this unique way. So rather than conclude that they're just weirdos, they will boost their self-esteem by saying, "Oh no, the reason why everyone says I'm paranoid is because actually I'm special, and God has put me here." Which puts me into the next thing, which is because they over-detect agency, they also tend to be highly religious, or at the very least, they tend to have religious delusions. So they tend to believe that God has put them there with a special purpose, or whatever it happens to be. And also they'll have a very, very peculiar style of speech. So they might speak in a very long-winded, peculiar manner with lots of big words and go on and on and on and on and on. And now when they completely lose touch with reality, when you have basically psychosis, where they have absolutely no understanding of the nature of what's going on, then you have a person that has got full-blown schizophrenia. I'm fairly sure I've met someone with schizotypal personality. When I was at university, there was this guy, he was a complete and utter loner. He had no friends. He was a fantasist. He told me he was a postgraduate. In reality, he'd graduated and just hung around the university. He was extremely conservative Catholic and anti-gay, but yet gay. He would spread rumors about how men and women had tried to seduce him and were in love with him and all this kind of thing, which all turned out to be absolute lies. In the end, he descended into a world of paranoid fantasy in which he spread rumors about high-level people being paedophiles, in which he spread rumors about high-level politicians, and in which he made bomb threats and whatever about based on paranoid thinking, and ultimately he was sent to prison. And he had again this very peculiar style of speech. This kind of, we got there first, and you must understand that the reason why, even if you are to understand that as a person who is a member of the Church of England, is you are fully cognizant of all that is around you. Then even then, you can't surely be able to misunderstand the interpretation which we are putting. Blah 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 blah. And everyone just thought he was a complete weirdo. But the problem is that it was maybe it was schizoid at that stage. It probably was, but it's moved over. I think it moved over rather towards the end of my time at university into being schizotypal personality. I don't know. Perhaps now he's schizophrenic. Who knows? But when I last heard of it, he'd been to prison, and this reflects schizotypal personality. So it's quite an interesting thing. And there may be many people watching this who have schizotypal personality who think that I'm talking about them, and I'm probably not. But that's the nature of the schizotypal personality, that the person is paranoid and the person has this belief in their own specialness, and the person has disordered thinking and so on. So the person, I don't know how many, there probably were a number of schizotypal people that I met at the 3 universities that I've been at. But who knows? You can see how that would happen. So that is the nature of the schizotypal personality. It's very interesting, and if you've met anyone like that, then I'd be interested in your comments on them below. And I will see you soon, and goodbye.
Hello, hello, hello! The Jolly Heretic is an online public house which meets on Mondays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. UK time, 2 p.m. New York, in which we discuss the kind of based, fearless science which is increasingly expunged from our woke, joke universities. If you would like to help the Jolly Heretic public house, and there are many ways you can do so, please become one of my patrons on Subscribestar. Also, if you want to, you can donate to the channel using Odysee and Entropy, and you can also purchase Jolly Heretic merchandise, such as shirts and mugs. All of the links are in the description. Again, I'd be most violently grateful if you could assist the Jolly Heretic Public House, and I will see you all soon, and goodbye!